Hey friends, welcome back to the Amputate to Elevate podcast, the show where we transform life setbacks into setups for success. I'm John Register, your host. Now today's episode is a little bit different. It's personal. This week marks an anniversary of the injury that changed my life forever. A misstep over hurdle, a dislocated knee, and 7 days later, an amputation. But what could have ended everything actually began something greater. Today, instead of interviewing a guest, I am the guest. I'm going to share a raw clip from one of my keynote speeches where I walk the audience through that moment and what came after. This is the rewind. You're going to hear the real story, not the highlight reel, the full reckoning, the pain, the pivot, and the purpose that followed. Why? Because anniversaries like this aren't just markers of loss, they're reminders of what we built in the aftermath. This show, this community, and this movement are born from that moment. So before we jump in, do me a quick favor, like, subscribe, and follow the journey over on Beehive. That's where I go deeper, sharing exclusive breakdowns, behind the scenes reflections, and lessons for high capacity leaders like yourself. That's johnregister.beehive.com. And speaking of that, this Saturday, I'll be back with a special episode breaking down the leadership lessons inside the story you're about to hear. Because every great story carries a great strategy if you know how to find it. All right, let's get ready and let's dive into it. There is a process that I had to understand of how to amputate in order to elevate. I want to share a story with you, and I'm going to invite you to ask me a question afterwards. And the question is, what is it that you believe I overcame? What is it that you believe I overcame? I was sitting, you'll find all my stories happen in airports. I was sitting in the San Francisco International Airport. I'm reading a USA Today newspaper. I'm wearing shorts, get up there, which has exposed my artificial leg. Two boys, about 5 years old and 7 years old, they're talking to their mother, their matriarch, and these two boys, they've made a new discovery. Mommy, look at that guy's leg. See that guy's leg? There goes Robot Man. I chuckled, but I went back to reading my USA Today newspaper. Then something else happened. There began to be this outer speak conversation that probably should have remained inner speak conversation from everyone else in the gate waiting area talking about the two boys, 5 and 7, who just discovered Robot Man. Impolite to stare, shut them up, get them out of here, bad mom. I say, wow, that's interesting. But I went back to reading my USA Today newspaper. Out of the corner of my eye, I see the woman, she gets up, she starts walking over my direction. I think she's gonna do like the old song says and just walk on by. But no, she stops, she leans in. Excuse me, sir, my children, they're absolutely fascinated by your artificial leg. It looks like you've overcome so much adversity. I mean, you're such an inspiration. Would you please tell them what happened? No one has ever come up to me in such a public setting asking me what's going on with my artificial leg. And in that space between her question and my response, I began to think about it. Why does she think I've overcome so much adversity? Maybe I was congenital and just born this way. Why does she think I'm such an inspiration? I could be an axe murderer. I'm not. Yet. Why was everybody else that had that outer speak conversation that probably should remain inner speak conversation, why were they now leaning in? And in that space between a question and my response, I found my answer. I did not overcome the adversity. 6.5 years earlier, I'm on May 24th, 1994. I'm lying in a hospital bed in Wichita, Kansas at the Wesley Medical Center. My wife, Alice, is holding on to my left hand. My parents, Don and Dolores Register, on the opposite side of the bed. My son, John Jr., playing with a little toy train at the foot of the bed. He's 5 years old now. Dr. Randy Mullins, he comes in the room. He has a white lab coat on, a stethoscope around his neck, clipboard in his hand. Says, Mr. Register, you have a tough choice to make. You can either keep your leg and use a walker or a wheelchair for the rest of your life, or I can amputate your leg. You can use a prosthesis for the rest of your life.
What kind of choice is that? 7 days earlier, I'm on top of the world. I'm on the Army's world-class athlete program, track and field team. USA Track and Field News has picked me as the one to watch for the 400-meter hurdles to make the 1996 Olympic team. 400-meter hurdles is one time around the track over 10 obstacles spaced 35 meters apart. There's a 40-meter run into the first hurdle. There's a 45-meter run off the last hurdle for the distance. I'm approaching every one of these hurdles at the speed of 8.7 meters per second, which equates to what? Yeah, fast is the right answer because that's definitely John Register math. It's about 19 and a half miles an hour. I'm ambidextrous. I can take the hurdle with either leg. It doesn't really matter. But because I just ran my first sub-50-second hurdle race, had a call with the legend, Edwin Moses. He said, you're on the same trajectory as me. I led with my right leg going down the backstretch, and I wanted to repeat that pattern. But I had a second career, too. I was Army combat veteran, on my way to officer candidate school. Loved the military, wanted to be 20-year lifer in it because I saw a pathway for myself. I was already on the pathway, boarded by a group of officers. I'm heading down to Fort Benning School for girls and boys, but the wind's blowing hard in Hayes, and I'm having trouble with my steps. The right leg comes up over the hurdle, the left leg comes up, then the left leg comes up, and the right leg comes up. Sometimes in hurdles, as in life, we just want things to stay the same. So I get in the blocks, I do my one last pass. I get to the first hurdle, right leg is on, bam. Second hurdle, right leg is on again, bam. Third hurdle comes into view, I feel the Kansas wind push against me, but I push back hard against that Kansas wind. I realize, I'm gonna be short, I'll have to take that hurdle with my left leg. So I launch myself off the right leg, cross the hurdle with my left leg, I land and I hear, my body sails and twists in the air and I see my left shin pass in front of my face. My shoulders hit the ground, I bounce to a halt. I do a quick once over my body, okay, my shoulder's okay, waist is okay. When I saw my knee, my patella had risen 3 inches up my femur bone. My left leg was now over, canted across my right, with my foot touching the black surface of that track in Hayes that day. The only thing I could think about in that moment was just get up. Just get yourself up. Get up, John. Get up, John. Get up. Push yourself up. You got this. Come on, you get up. Get up. Oh, God. 90 minutes later, the ambulance comes. Puts me in the back, whisks me off to Hayes Medical Center where another doctor in a white lab coat said, Mr. Register, looks like you got a bit of a problem. I'm gonna have to fix that. So he bore down on that crooked leg. We're gonna do this on 3. 1, my leg ballooned up, I passed out. I don't remember too much what happened next. I don't remember the life flight from Hayes, Kansas to Wichita. I don't remember the 11-hour vein graft operation to reconstruct an artery that had been blocked and severed because of the dislocation. All I remember is my wife holding onto my left hand. My parents down in Dolores on the opposite side of the bed, John Jr. playing the little toy train. Dr. Mullen saying, yeah, you got a tough choice to make. It was the pain that spoke first because my male deductive reasoning said, if I just get rid of my leg, I can get rid of my pain. And I looked back at Dr. Mullins and I said, I know it has to be amputated. And he immediately went into work. And 2 nights later, I wake up at 11 o'clock at night and I'm in more pain than my male deductive reasoning had reasoned. And I just wanted something to knock it out. There was a morphine drip button over on my right ear left. I was too weak to roll over to press that button. But I could see the nurses stationed outside my door. I just call out to them, but the tubes that were down my throat made a sound too inaudible to get their attention. So there I lay in that bed for the next 8 hours with my dangerous thoughts. Who am I now? What's my identity? Is my wife going to stick around? Is my son still going to see me as his father? Do I still have a job in the military? Can I support my family? My Olympic dreams, they're over. At 8 o'clock, Dr. Mullins, he comes back in the room, sees I've done a 180-degree shift. Immediately calls my wife, Alice, who's at the local hotel trying to manage herself, me, John Jr. She was told by the nursing staff that I would sleep through the night. She's been there all the time. She's dog tired, and she gets a call at 7 o'clock that morning because we were geographically separated. I was stationed in Germany without command sponsorship to bring my family with me. She gets a call from the job she's working in West Memphis, Arkansas, to fire her for being gone too long taking care of me. Thank you for your service, ma'am. And this saint of a woman comes running over, gets me out of bed, puts me in a wheelchair, wheels me out to an inaccessible playground where I'm sitting there parked, forced to watch my wife and my son play on the swings, and I couldn't push myself out of that chair. It was the first time I felt disabled. I lost it, started crying uncontrollably, heaving. I just couldn't catch a breath. And Alice on the swing set, she comes running over and says, what is happening? What's going on? And as she wraps her arms around me, I begin to articulate to her everything that was in my head the night before. And that's when she said the words that stopped my downward spiral. Yeah, you know what, John? We're going to get through this together. It's just our new normal. It's just our new normal. And when she spoke those words, she baselined my entire existence, undergirded me with that love. And as I'm wiping the tears away from my eyes, I see John Jr. He jumps off the swings, hits the ground, comes running over. Hey, Mom, Dad, you see my big jump? Mom, Dad, you see my big jump? And he jumps in between myself and Alice, and I realize in that moment he has just validated me as his father. He's created his new normal. And that's exactly somehow what I had to do. I had to figure out a way to create this new normal. So in that space, between her question and my response, I found my answer. I said, ma'am, I don't think I've overcome what you think I overcame. Because had I overcome the amputation of my left leg, I'd have my leg back. She said, oh my gosh, wow, that's right. I understand. I got that. And then her little kid said, so mister, what happened next? I said, I'm so glad you asked. I said, I started swimming for physical therapy. I got so fast in the water, I somehow fluked up, messed up, and made the Paralympic swim team. I went to Atlanta, Georgia. I saw this dude's leg fly off in mid-flight. I got inspired. Because if I have a leg made for running and keep my leg on, I can certainly beat this dude who can't seem to keep his on. Then I went to Sydney, Australia, and finished up after 6 jumps, number 2 in the world, and earned the silver medal in that long jump. And I wound up having that in my pocket. She said, well, today's October 30th. I said, right. That was on October 21st, 7 days ago. And with that silver medal, I hung it around that little boy's neck. Kevin, would you be that little boy today? Come on up. Yeah. Absolutely. Turn around, brother. Yeah, right. And then he put around his brother's neck, so you can go share with all your brothers and sisters out there. And then the brother gave it back to me to put back in my pocket, so last person back to me in my pocket. Okay. And the most amazing thing happened. The woman thanked me for my time. She asked me for an autograph for her children, and off she walked back to their seats. And I said, what the heck was that? She had shifted the entire room from get them out of here, bad mom, impolite to stare, to how cool is that? Did you hear that story? Those children's lives will never be the same. She shifted me. How many times have I been oblivious with my cup full, unavailable for somebody to pour into me as she just did? I wanted to always be open for that. How do we continue to open ourselves up for that dialogue that expands the answers that we have yet to learn? If you're familiar with the Johari window model, there's a quadrant. I won't go through the whole model. The last quadrant is the unknown unknown. I think that's where brilliance happens, because I'm open to learn. I'm open for the dialogue of what you need to discover about me and what I need to discover about you. So let's put some thought to this. Let's go back to the presentation. I asked you one question. What do you think it was if I didn't overcome the amputation? What do you think I overcame? What do you think it is? Mindset, for sure. We said some fear up there. People said fear earlier. But let me get some understanding around the fear. The fear was not me saying, for example, Alice was going to leave me. That was not my fear. My fear was, am I still desirable? Do I still have what it takes when the shift in the market is going on? When people are looking at me for the leadership that I have to have, what happens when I close the door? They're all looking at me. Do I really have what it takes? Do I really know what it means to lead this organization on this big change that we say that we're going to do on our value and mission and vision statements? Do I really know what I'm doing? We have these fears, and they're internal. The answer is yes, you do. You have it. It's in you. It's there. We just have to have the courage and the commitment to make it so. The courage and the commitment to make it so. And that's where we're going to go through this little resilience action model, which I've been working on for at least 5 years now. In the resilience action model, we have 3 areas of focus. The first is the reckoning. The reckoning moment is realized when we understand that we do not get back what we desire to have back after some type of trauma has impacted our life. Most of the time, it'll come out in language like this: I just wish things would get back to normal. Can we go back to the way it used to be? Oh my gosh, before this happened, it was just great. It never has, it never does, it never will. So until we get that mindset shifted from the mindset to the mindset, we now hurdle that reckoning moment. It's a break to the routine, and then we have to acknowledge that it never goes back to the way it used to be. Once I'm there, I'm now into the revision. In the revision hurdle, we have to commit to the new vision. We must commit. This is very difficult. We think it's easy. We think we write down the vision statement, the mission statement, and values, and then we just move forward. No, we have to bring other people on board that buy into that vision, and that's hard because we have at least 3 opposing forces. The first one are other people who are believing for us what we can or cannot do, which is based on what they believe they could or could not do if they were in our situation. Secondarily, we have society. Society begins to dictate to us the limitations that it wants to apply to what we want to do. And then third, I'm the one that has to commit. I've had the world's best hurdle coaches. None of them ever ran a hurdle for me. I'm the one that has to be responsible for that. I cannot shirk the responsibility and put it on somebody else. So we have to look for our parallel paths. I no longer could be an Olympic athlete. Let me become a Paralympic athlete. And I can't be a military officer, so let me build a program that now Prince Harry runs in Invictus Games. So we look for the parallel paths, and then we begin by making that commitment. And let me be clear on what a commitment is. Once you make a commitment, you cannot go back to the way it used to be. It is gone forever. It's gone, right? So the third one then becomes the renewal hurdle. Renewal begins with a rebirth. Rebirth is exceptionally hard because now you're no longer the expert. Think about, Don, who was the one that just won the Australian Open, woman? I'm trying to think of who was it? Madison Keys. Madison Keys took herself out of the game to work on her serve. One thing that she wanted to do better. So she took herself out of being the expert in order to work on something that was going to give her dominance at the Australian Open for at least 5 months to work on one thing to make her better. How many times do we as executives and CEOs take ourselves out to work on something to get ourselves better? Or just head down all the time, we got to do this. Do we give ourselves space to breathe, to get breath into us, to move that organization forward? That's why the cup can't be half empty or half full, and we have to pour into the cup. Think of that cup as a sieve, right? So when I'm pouring into that cup, I'm pouring out the other side. So it's a never-ending cycle of water that's coming in and going out. So the cup is never half empty or half full because we're always pouring it. And if I can pour it, then I can direct the flow of the pour. But if I block it, I just make a mess. In my own life, we just saw the Atlantic report. People are in isolation. They're lonely because we've created an environment where people are panicked. They're panicked. And we have ourselves to blame for it because we're the leaders. And we haven't taken that time for ourselves to breathe. So we're putting together, even in my squad, the people that are following on our communities, is we're taking folks on a 7-day cruise. And we're going to just, all we're doing is work for a half a day on a Ritz-Carlton cruise in the Mediterranean, and we're just going to workshop the business so you have time to breathe. No cell phones allowed. So you have time to breathe. That's what we're focused on. All right, so we have on this one, we allow space and grace to grow. Why this? Because we have to allow ourselves. I just didn't, when I became an amputee, I didn't know how to be an amputee. There have been thousands of amputees before me. It was just new to me. I had to learn how to walk on an artificial leg, walk between the parallel bars, walk on a 4-bar walker, crutches to cane to free walking to running to jumping to a Paralympic medal. That process took 7 years. But we want it right now. We want the change instant. And we don't give ourselves the space and grace to grow. And then once we celebrate the reward, here's the interesting thing about rewards. I share the silver medal, but I'm not there 25 years ago when I won it. I need to be looking for the next reckoning moment. As an executive, I have to look for the next reckoning. I should never be comfortable. If I'm comfortable, something's wrong. I'm coasting. If I'm coasting, that means I'm going downhill. I need to be pressing all the time. So we have it real quick. We'll just get it for you. The reckoning, the revision, and the renewal. So on the QR, go back out to Mentimeter and give yourself an opportunity to look at that. And when you look at the model, where do you see yourself? Right now, in this moment in time, this flash moment in time, not where you see yourself in the mind sight of where you desire to be, but right now in the mindset, where are you? Let's take a pulse of the room. Where are you right now? Where are you? Where are you right now? Are you in the reckoning? Are you in the revision? Or are you in the renewal? Look at that, 45 in the revision. When I say revision, remember we called it, we're about to make the commitment. We're about to attack that hurdle. Over here, we've attacked the hurdle. Now we have to give ourselves space and grace to grow because we don't have all the answers. And 15% in the reckoning. It's okay to be in any one of these categories because when we're in the renewal, what's the next iteration of the renewal? Remember what I said? The next reckoning. We're looking for the next reckoning. We never arrive. We never arrive. You can't. You're the CEO. You can't. We're always looking for the next thing to inspire the team to stand up, to give them the sequence and the process and to move the organization forward, to look for the individuals who are putting things on instead of taking things away. We're always looking for that next reckoning. Let's go back to presentation. Thank you.
Let's take a look
so
at the
who wants to see the? I'm going to show it to you anyway. The jump, because you already saw it, right? There we go.
Take a look
So
at
here's
the
a long jump in Sydney, Australia. These are the last three competitors. We have Gorianson, Lucas Christen, and myself.
He holds both the world and Paralympic record in this event. Victor Gorianson from Sweden is up now, ready for his third attempt. It's not a bad effort. He's pretty satisfied with it. 4.89. It's actually a season best for the Swede. Here's the man to beat. He is the world record holder, jumping 5.43 in 98 in Birmingham. Well, he's pleased the crowd. He's happy with that one. And so he should be. He's smashed his world mark with 5.57, a new world mark. Well, the pressure's really on now for John Register from the USA. 5.57, the mark to beat. Nice lead up, but it's short. He's not able to take the gold from Christen, but he does move into second spot. So here are the results of the men's long jump final. Gold to Christen, silver to Register, and Gorianson home with the bronze.
I don't like her voice, but anyway. She's just like, Oh, whatever, he didn't make it. Every time I see that video, I think I'm going to win the gold medal anyway. So, it's just not. Reporter asked me, she covered me when I was running for the Southwest Conference and I was running into Michael Johnson, I was jumping against Carl Lewis, asked me the question, with artificial limb technology, John, do you think you can do the same thing? And I said, no. But maybe your question should be, if God forbid Carl Lewis or Michael Johnson lost a leg, could they run as fast or jump as far as I do? And so we don't have to become an amputee to learn the lesson, in other words, right? What we can do is begin to see how can people attune with our voice, with what we are putting out as a frequency, and elevate themselves. Because we're the ones that's causing that change.
One wrong step, 2 lost careers. That day didn't just take my leg, it took my Olympic dream and my military identity. But it didn't take my purpose. I learned so many life lessons that helped drive the work that I do now. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop me a comment. What major pivot did you have to make in your life? Tell me what you had to amputate and where you had to amputate something that once defined you and what's helped you elevate ever since. And don't forget, subscribe to Beehive. That's where the real conversation continues. I unpack the stories like this and support leaders like you to translate them into action. Then join me again this Saturday for a special video think letter edition where I'll break down the leadership lessons behind this moment. We're talking resilience, identity, and how to lead when the ground beneath you shifts. Until then, go forth, inspire your world. Bye for now.